Hello and welcome to the Comicspiracy episode 491 for the week of Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Kevin.
And that's Toby. Not too early this week. I don't know where he is. I thought he was going to be here. We're talking WandaVision
He might
finale.
jump on later.
Yeah, maybe he'll jump on. So Kevin is probably not going to be here the whole podcast. We were going to do all Infinite Frontier and WandaVision, but I think we're just going to start with the WandaVision spoilers here. We don't have too much else to talk about this week. So this is going to be all spoiler stuff.
I finished my Infinite Frontier homework, so let's go hard.
Yeah, we're going to do both. Yeah,
all
we're
right.
going to get through both. We're going to get through both.
I actually did the homework for once also.
What?
Good. We're gonna talk about Infinite Frontier, but because Kevin may not survive the entire podcast, we're going to start with WandaVision because I heard Kevin has some stuff to say about WandaVision. Now, before we get into it, we're going to be all spoilers here. So this is the end. Spoiler warning. Here's your warning.
Skip it.
Before the other Kevin goes, I want to say two things.
The real Kevin?
That are my guesses on what he disliked.
Wait,
Well,
Toby,
hold on.
before you even guess that.
I don't know who this Toby is.
Okay.
I keep referring to him.
Kevin number 2. Ryan, all I was going to say first, before you give your thing about spoilers, I said I would come back and own it this week. I was 100% wrong on that prediction. 1,000% wrong. Myself and the writers at the Mary Sue are all in the same loser club on this.
Hey, do you know who's wrong about their predictions? Everyone.
Right. I don't care.
Everyone.
You know what? I don't care that I was wrong. I didn't fly to Vegas and put any money on it.
Yeah.
It's no loss to me. I just wish I had been wrong for a different reason.
Well, I think that was part of the fun, was just kind of
hold
at least
on.
the reasonable.
We'll
Just
get
let
to
it
it.
flow, Ryan Higgins.
We'll get to it.
We can't do
it.
that.
So,
We don't
just
have
talking
a
about that stuff tonight. If you don't want to hear about it,
You can fast forward
not the podcast
30
for
minutes.
Well, it's a double spoiler episode, isn't it? I mean, New Frontier is not out till tomorrow.
you. No, New Frontier was last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
But we are doing
that's
full
why I have it
spoilers
in
for
my
both. We are doing full spoilers for both. So again, if you don't want to hear it, go ahead. Now with WandaVision, obviously this is the Netflix, Jesus Christ, Disney Plus, WandaVision, MCU TV show that we've been talking about. That I said we weren't going to talk about every episode, and sure enough, we have. So I don't know. I give up. I want to do the finale, but then a little bit of like a whole episode or a whole season. I don't know if this is going to be a second season. Doesn't sound like it, but who knows? Just kind of overview, because we haven't had an MCU film ranking now in well over a year.
Yeah.
So not only do we want to discuss the finale, but we got to rank this baby.
Wait,
Wait,
how?
you mean list
Wait.
every MCU movie?
Wait, hold on. That doesn't. It's not even fair.
The MCU
quit.
shows.
Hold on.
I quit.
Hold on.
I'm out.
The MCU
No.
shows are basically long movies, so
No,
it's going on the list, baby.
no,
It's
no,
going on the
this
list.
This is too easy because it's this versus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Inhumans, and it's not
No,
even a.
Those are not MCU shows.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes,
Toby, you
they
got
are.
to count the Netflix stuff.
No,
Oh,
no.
then, then we have some stuff to talk about.
Marvel TV does not MCU. Sorry. Until these characters show up in Avengers, they're not part of the MCU. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not part of the MCU. It's its own thing.
MCU list, MCU TV list. Like, can we just?
Kevin Feige had nothing to do with those shows, therefore it has nothing to do with the MCU. It was all Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb's gone. All his shows are gone with him. So sorry, guys.
Netflix stuff are not Jeff Loeb shows.
I'm voting for a side MCU TV list that we start with WandaVision's number 1, and then we'll after Falcon Winter Soldier we'll have 2 to choose from.
Yeah, but we're gonna slot it. We're gonna slot these in on your top MCU list.
This
because
sounds
now,
like when Ryan Higgins talks about fan films,
it's everything.
he hates them because they're not canon.
No, it's everything. Fan films?
Yeah.
Oh, fan films are terrible.
Yeah.
Every single one from top to bottom. I mean, have fun making them, but why? Anyway, we're going to talk about WandaVision finale. Now, I don't want to start, I guess, negative, but I think Kevin had a very visceral reaction to that final episode, more so than I expected.
I could give you my review of the final episode in 4 words, and it's not that visceral.
Okay.
Emotionally solid, narratively shaky.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all.
I think we can, ignoring the overall insanity of the fandom of the MCU and rumors and fan expectations, putting all that aside, once we got to that 4th episode, I was like, okay, this is just a more normal MCU thing. So to me, I shifted my perception and it went pretty much the way I expected it. I think I feel like there almost should have been that magical 10th episode because I feel like there was stuff missing. Overall, I really enjoyed the finale. However, there definitely was a lot of plots that just sort of characters that just kind of got left on the cutting room floor that you either could have cut out entirely or you need to really expand. Kat Dennings' character obviously just sort of disappears for 3 episodes and then comes back for half a second, and that's the end of it. Despite what people on the forum were telling me, Monica Rambeau had nothing to do in the last half of the show. The back half of the entire show, she's done nothing. She was not in half of these episodes, and when she shows up, nothing happens with her. She's barely in it. So I feel like they clearly are setting up these characters to be in other things. But when we got to that last episode, I thought, wow, they have a lot of ground to cover, and they really only covered Wanda and Vision. They kind of barely touched on anyone else. So I feel like maybe they shoved too much stuff in and just didn't have an out for a lot of these characters. Their stories didn't really wrap up. That said, I thought the stuff with Quicksilver, Wanda and Scarlet Witch and Vision were fantastic. So it went exactly where I thought it was going to go. It's normal MCU plot. It's the villains aren't really villains, but I mean, Wanda's still kind of the villain of the show. I don't think Agatha Harkness or White Vision, they're not really bad guys. They're just doing their thing. Even the army guy's not really a bad guy. He's an antagonist, but he's not a villain. So it's kind of, that was a little, maybe a little odd, but yeah, but I mean, it's just standard MCU fare, but it was, I thought it was very enjoyable. There were some cool scenes. I really like Agatha Harkness. I really hope they keep her around, either in Doctor Strange or bring her back in other shows, because she's cool. She's a very fun character. Highlight of the show for sure. Yeah, that's me, and we can get more into specifics on some of this stuff.
In my defense on that prediction last week about not necessarily Dick Van Dyke, but someone from the TV world, it's because I bought into that bullshit claim about the big cameo in the last episode. And so I would have not pulled Dick Van Dyke out of my ass if I hadn't been built up to there's going to be some appearance by some character. I don't count White Vision because he was in the penultimate episode.
Yeah, so I guess what's his face? What's the actor's name? Wow,
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany, yeah, had gone on some interview and was saying oh yeah, I get to work with a great actor, and he was talking about himself, which is the joke. And I think people just again, the last 4 episodes are all going to be an hour long. Well, no, they're not. These things, these rumors spiral out of control. These theories spiral out of control. Jokes become way too serious. I really, really despise. Literally just minutes before we started recording the podcast, the Illuminati website who broke the fact that the MCU is going to be making a X-Men movie called The Mutants, which of course is total bullshit, posted an exclusive article about Adam Warlock casting is currently underway for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, in which James Gunn replied, no, it's not. There is no casting under the way for Volume 3. Where do you guys get this nonsense? And he talks about like the act, he does the entire article's bullshit. So people like, I really, for my own, just to not waste brain space, you just got to stop reading these fan websites and nerd websites and rumor stuff, because it's 99% not true. And the 1% is meaningless.
Well, in this case, you could think that because there's the plot thread of Jimmy Woo's FBI or his witness protection person in Westview, who we didn't hear from. So, and then there's the what do they call him? Pietro.
Yeah.
So something connected. So it makes sense. You know what I mean? Narratively, that there could be some character walking on in the last episode who we haven't seen. It didn't stink like just some bullshit fan rumor.
Well, we did have a character walk in the last episode. We had one of the Skrulls, right?
Right.
To connect to Captain Marvel 2 and maybe Secret Invasion. Can I also say, of all the shit that I called him, Quicksilver being no one, being just the dude that lived in the town.
Yeah.
Of all the things I called, that's the one that comes out, and that's the one that's true. So how funny is that?
Yeah, so I think my big disappointment, and I know Toby has a different reaction to this, and I don't know what Brock's reaction was, but after all of the interesting stuff that they did, and like it or don't like it, I understand there's two camps on this, but they did something different than any other Marvel property at the first half of this show.
Mm-hmm.
They took a chance, and I think they're in the position now, Marvel, where they can flex and swing their dicks around and take chances. And I really appreciated that they did it. My big disappointment was, like, if I was going to be wrong on my prediction, who cares? But I just didn't think I would be wrong in that it would just be another super battle and then a cliffhanger for their next property.
Kevin, your favorite. Them battling evil counterparts of themselves.
And
your
twice,
favorite.
It was a double serving.
Higgins, that was exactly what I was trying to say since the beginning of this, when I said there's two things I wanted to mention. Thanks a lot for blowing the whatever it's called.
Well, but Toby, that wasn't even the worst part to me.
Yeah, but that was the easiest one to call because you hate them when they fight the same people.
Well, I don't hate it as a concept. I just hate that it's used so often.
And you got double for double on this.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, how about I want to see White Vision fight Wanda and Agatha fight Other Vision. See, at least that would be. Anyway, the worst part of this episode, I mean, the worst, was that Hayward plotline was like out of the bottom of the barrel rejected Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crap. Like, he goes from a hard ass character with possible shady motivations to a mustache twirling villain in the space of 5 minutes. It was awful. All they were missing was him driving away, shaking his fist and going, "Bah, you haven't heard of the last of Hayward." That's the next step. They stopped just short of that. It was so terrible.
Well, yeah, because Kat Denning's character stopped him from doing that. So
yeah, and she's like, "Have fun in prison." It's like, what crime did he commit? Like building a vision secretly? Like, he's essentially the head of the CIA in Marvel terms, right? And we end the episode with Kat Dennings.
Well, that's why I said, I was like, he's not really, he's clearly like an antagonist, but he's not a villain. He's a military guy who's like, we have to fucking stop this shit.
Right. And then your last scene is him being led away by the FBI in handcuffs. I'm like, what crap?
Maybe just because he tried to like kill them. Like,
he gets out of the car and tries to shoot these kids.
Yeah,
and then tries to run away. Like,
yeah.
It was awful. It was awful. I would rather have 10 doppelganger battles than 1 minute of that Hayward stuff. But anyway, I'll lay out now Brock, Toby can tell us why it was.
And that's why I said, like, I felt like they had a lot of plots they had to sort of jam up, and they all kind of threw them together at the very end. But Kevin, to your point about maybe they felt like they could take a risk at the beginning. If anything, I'm terrified that the reaction from the vocal fans online might scare them into not wanting to take risks going forward, because the people had such these reaction to the first few episodes, belief that all this stuff was going to happen, and none of it happened. And like, I mean, this isn't like Last Jedi or like a Rise of Skywalker level. I mean, nothing's going to ever hit that level of just toxicity. But there's a part of fandom that just is like, we know what's better than the studios, make the thing we want, and that's terrifying. I really hope they don't listen, because give me I mean, clearly they couldn't just do like another season with the same style of the TV show thing. Like, it wouldn't work. But I want more experimentation like that, even if it is simpler than something that's really, really experimental film. At least they tried something different with those early episodes, and I thought they really pulled it off. I mean, I said earlier, like, I thought those first 3 episodes were A+, the best thing the MCU's ever done by miles. I think it gets a little muddy in the end, and then just be kind of a normal thing by the finish. But to me, it all averages out to that sort of A-, B+, pretty typical MCU fare. I like the characters a lot. There's really fun stuff in here. Some of the fight scenes are cool, and it just starts so good that I'm more positive on this.
I just want to be clear, Ryan. I really like this show, and I'm glad I watched it, and it was a great journey. I just was a little disappointed that it felt safe at the end. Yeah. When I wish it had been dangerous, because Falcon and Winter Soldier looks like it's going to be exactly what everybody thinks. And maybe I'm wrong. It just looks like you could call it right now exactly what that show is going to be like.
Oh, and it's going to be superhero psych, and I am so excited for that, because that's what I want that show to be. I don't need Falcon and Winter Soldier to be some like super complex, deep thought. Like, no, I want a buddy comedy, and it looks really good. That's exactly what I want from that show. Loki though should be a little risky. That character is. He can do some stuff. There should be some gray area with that character. Even Bucky. I mean, they're never going to go back to the style that he was in Winter Soldier. I mean, again, that movie worked so well because he was you're just very unsure how they're going to treat this character, and he is kind of the villain of the movie. I want to see what they do, but I have my expectations are very different. WandaVision looked very different from the start. Falcon Winter Soldier, I have pretty normal expectations for, and I don't expect it to deviate too heavy from that. So, Brock, sorry, and then we'll get Toby's big rant. I want to hear Toby's big rant, but Brock will let me know what you think.
I mean, overall, I think the show, it took risks. It did a great job. There are definitely lows in the show. I wasn't a huge fan of episode 3. There was a couple things in the later episodes that I was like, yeah, okay. And the finale was expected. Like, it wasn't, going into it, you knew it was just going to be Agatha versus Scarlet Witch, and then Vision versus Vision, and it's like everything was set up. I liked what the show, and fan theories and craziness in the internet aside, or let me rephrase, and extreme fan theories and craziness on the side. Yeah. I liked the fact that people were engaged in talking about this show on a level that was kind of just like, what's going to happen next? Maybe this, it felt like people were having more of a dialogue for once, after watching, the show. It's definitely things that like, like Google searches after episodes were, very, very like, this is what they were looking up. So like they could, I think they knew what was tracking, but for the most part, I think that Kevin said it best like last episode or a few episodes ago, where the Stan Lee quote, where it's, you don't give the readers what they want,
what they think they
or
want.
what they think they want. Yeah. And so I think that really goes to heart. Like, I mean, yeah, I was like a Doctor Strange cameo at the end, and it wasn't a Doctor Strange cameo per se. It was a lead into Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah, I do real quick. I wanna because we didn't talk about that second post credit scene. Now we have our Wanda and Mephisto and the kids being demon babies and whatever. Everything everyone wanted now happens. You can't get to point B before you hit point A. WandaVision was the start for that. Now the kids are gone. Now she could go fight Mephisto for their souls. That's how the story goes, right? That could be Doctor Strange, or that could be something else.
Well, I think that them
it just wasn't going to be in the first
like
part.
At the end in the finale when they said Darkhold, I was like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Like, thank you for dropping it just right there. Boom. Okay, we're good. But I think that it's definitely a show that's a lead in, and it's not that there's not really a villain in this show, and it's not Wanda, it's not Agatha, it's not whatever that dude's name is. It's
a lot of them are just. I mean, Agatha, she wants to take Wanda's power or like kind of like stop her or control her, but I don't. She didn't really come off as like villainous.
See, the thing I think that like I enjoyed it, but after talking with some people about it, Agatha's character, I mean, in the comics, she's a help for.
Yeah, she's not a bad guy in the comics.
She's not a bad guy at all. In this, she's like, when you see her origin, right, you kind of feel like, oh, she's just curious, she's this, and they're holding her back. But then it's like like a switch is flicked. And you're kind of like, well, is she bad? Is she like, oh, she, it's this like lukewarm, like a cold to hot to cold to hot. And you're like, not sure where she stands. Because when she's walking through, Wanda through all the memories, right? You feel like she's trying to help her move on.
Yeah. She's there's a little bit of that training and helping there, but it almost feels like she's like, oh shit, you're the Scarlet Witch. That's bad. I have to help you, but I'm like, I want your power. I want to hurt you, but I kind of want to like, I don't want this to happen,
Yeah, I think like Agatha's character could have used a little more ironing out, in the sense of like, where is she going to go, or where is she going to be after this? I mean, because it's a waste if you just leave her in Westview, right? Like, just the mindless whatever housewife persona that Wanda put on her for the rest of however long. But I think that the show did a really amazing job in just showing us like the grief, right? Like those stages, like what Wanda's going through. And I think that was the main drive of the show. Not that there was a villain, like, it was just her. It was her dealing with her grief. Because if you look at that character as we've seen her, she had a shitty childhood, and then she joins up with a terrorist organization. She's kind of roped into that. She's on the wrong side of things. Then she's trying to do good, and then like she messes up, and it's like this back and forth and back and forth. She lost her brother, her parents, all that stuff, and she lost Vision twice before this show. So I think that taking that character and taking that risk of showing the opening the show the way they did with those first episodes really fleshed out the character more.
With Agatha?
No, with Wanda.
Oh, with Wanda, yeah.
Because now, it's you're given all of this, and you're like, what is this? Because I think that a lot of the enjoyment that was part of the show was, and I think why we ended up talking about it so much was all the questions, and like it made us curious, and it made us excited, and it gave us this feeling of, ooh, I'm watching something that like I want to know what happens next, right? They gave you that feeling of turning a comic book page in a really good comic.
Yeah.
You know, the finale was, again, yes, Vision fighting Vision, but I really loved the Tom King, like, Theseus ship level thinking that they were having, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine with it, right?
Yes,
like,
see, that was great. That was different.
Yes,
that was so cool.
Yeah, like, the Petro thing, right, with him being this shitty actor guy or whatever, right? I'm like, to me, that like just it screamed oh God, why am I blanking on Iron Man 3? What's his name? The Mandarin.
Oh,
right,
Mandarin.
Like to me, it was like, oh, this is like, oh, Mandarin, like that brought back crappy Mandarin memories, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, bad actors are bad actors.
Well, he was just he was an actor, was he? He was just a bro.
Yeah. No, he was an actor. He had that headshot.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, but
because the thing is this show had so many nods to tons of stuff in the entertainment industry, right?
Did he like make a point of like, oh, I was just acting the whole thing out? Like, he was like being controlled by like one.
Yeah, but Monica pulled out his headshot. I don't think a random bro's gonna have his.
Okay, I remember that, but I didn't like.
No,
like,
it was.
I was
it
like,
was an actual headshot. Yeah.
Yeah. But he didn't like make a point of being like, "Oh, I'm an actor."
No,
Okay. I was like, "Did I miss something?"
That was what the headshot. That's what the headshot was supposed to represent.
Sure.
But again, I think for me, I liked having the conversations with people at the shop and my roommate after watching it. Hearing the funny stories about how things are spoiled for people, like eBay's gotten into it now apparently, and like you can get a spoiler for virtually almost anywhere now. But I did enjoy the fact that they put in the effort to make this a Marvel Cinematic level TV show.
Yeah, I mean the production budget was huge. Yeah, you could tell.
Because like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you could tell it wasn't there, right? Like you could tell it just wasn't the same production value. It was reduced. And what I loved about this,
but it was also a network television show. Like I had no my complaints about stuff like S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Netflix shows is not the quality, although I don't care for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I tried multiple times. It just never did anything with me. It's not the quality. It's the fact that they just have written those. They just have chosen to not acknowledge any of them. No one, well, I don't know, maybe Toby, but most people. Look, if the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast and the Defenders rolled out at the end of Endgame, I would have been on my feet cheering because that's super fucking cool. Mm-hmm. But they don't do it because they're not going to use those characters. Again, they might, but I just don't think they are.
Well, I think it's an example of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was.
It's less the quality of them and more the fact that Disney doesn't want to use them. So it's a very separate thing.
So, but yeah, overall, I think WandaVision was done very well. I am still going, why the hell was there a stork? I mean, if it's symbolic, I get it. But really, I mean, that's the killer for episode 3 for me. I mean, just. So I think overall it like WandaVision is definitely setting a bar for the Disney Plus Marvel shows. that I think, again, if they're following along that path of you don't give the viewers what they think they want, they should do okay. And the people that hate it because of the ending, I'm like, well, where did you really expect it to go after? I mean, because I guess you could just print up the Wikipedia page for the origin of Wanda and Quicksilver and say, hey, let's make this movie, and you're like, huh? But yeah, I liked it. It was okay. Toby,
You were so all over the place on that one that
I know.
Bring us home, Toby. Bring us home.
There's not much to it, man. I enjoyed the show, and that's about it. My problem was really a guy named Brian Higgins in this whole scenario.
Brian Higgins.
This problem was that I was kind of half asleep, and I get this text from Ryan telling me that I need to make sure that I watch both of the end credits, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna get spoiled on this shit. Even though I have to wake up in about 4 hours, I better watch this motherfucker right now.
That's why I messaged you.
Yeah, so I was half asleep at that point because I had to wake up within 4 hours at that point, and I was like, God.
Turn your phone off. Don't get notifications while you're sleeping. Turn that shit off.
I'm on call 24/7, my friend. So I have to look at the phone whenever there's a phone call or text. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should watch this thing. And I had a repeat of The Last Jedi where I had blackouts and saw scenes that didn't go with each other. So I was very confused and very worried because my version of the first watching was Vision just shows up. Monica can't leave the apartment for some reason. And eventually I saw handcuffs on the bad guy, and that was the end. And I was like, WTF, what just happened? Of course, I had to wake up after 3 hours at that point, so I was not going to rewatch it. And I didn't watch it until the following day. But once I actually did watch it, I actually fairly enjoyed it. Look, there's some weird stuff. Like, when the White Vision goes into that world, like, everything we saw has been affected when they go in that world. I was kind of curious why it didn't affect the White Vision at all. So maybe because he's White Vision, like, that's why nothing happened. And
when he went into the
Wanda world,
into Wanda's, I mean, I kind of took that, as because he's not
maybe because he was powered by that energy already from that drone. Maybe. He's immune.
Maybe. I just thought that was weird because every single thing that has gone in has been affected.
But he is like kind of like partly organic, right? But that's also Vision. So maybe because she made that other Vision, it sort of blocked him.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking for a serious answer.
Yeah,
I thought that was weird, right? I was just kind of like, especially as a guy that didn't see that scene last time around, right? I would have been very confused when White Vision just showed up. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy, right? So that was kind of weird. But there's things I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the Vision on Vision fight actually a lot. I
did too. I
really, really, really like. And it was kind of like kind of a nod to like Data from Star Trek Next Generation, like. Yeah, just the thought process between the two, the way they hash things out. When they figure things out, I thought that was phenomenal. They left the door open for obviously White Vision become normal Vision, or White Vision having a soul.
Well, and he totally just like pieces out at the end. Yeah. He's just like, I'm out, and he's again another plot that just doesn't really get resolved.
The door is open. He just flew away, but there's that seed that regular Vision planted in him, so that there's a door open for Vision to be back in the MCU. So I thought that was lovely and nicely done. There's a lot of things I liked in it. I like Agnes a lot. I like to me the finale. This is kind of like Game of Thrones-ish for me. Like for me, the finale was technically the last episode, and this is kind of the epilogue. Like Marvel fight at the end. We're gonna have to have that. But for me, the finale was the all the reveals in the last episode. And I thought that was phenomenal. But yeah, no, I as a whole, I really enjoyed the show. I personally would have liked to see some even more West Coast Avengers nods. Like, that Pandemonium would have been like, I would have been like on the floor going, holy
well, and again, I think that's where we go from here, because
sure. I mean, like it didn't bother me that he didn't show up, right? I'm not like, writing angry blogs and Twitter posts right now going, you screwed me in my entire life because you didn't have Massive Pandemonium in this. No, fuck it. I'm like, this is fun. This on our Facebook group has the most responses and people talking to each other. I think we're like over 500 comments at this point on that spoiler group.
I think it's more than that.
It's more, yeah. I stopped reading because I don't want to get spoiled anymore, and I didn't want anything to affect my how I look at it. But no, overall I just really enjoyed it. I liked the take they did. I thought the balance was just right. Originally, when I watched episode 4, I kind of wanted it reworked a little bit, but as a whole, now, like, all of it together, I'm like, no, I really, really enjoy it, and I thought the balance was just right for me, at least. If they'd done more of the old school stuff, I think I would have been even more bored, but yeah, no, I think overall I'm quite happy with the show, and I'm excited, and they left enough doors open to see more of it, right? It's almost like if they closed too many doors or concluded too many things that, unlike the Marvel way, there wouldn't be many, many doors open for plenty of other stories. So,
well, that is a question.
That's a different universe.
Well, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, because it's a TV show, but it's connected to the series of movies. You want it to stand alone, but you want to leave it open for whatever movies come next. But then you also want to leave it open for a potential next season, because it's a TV show. They may say they have no plans, but the whole point of a TV show is usually multiple seasons.
Mm.
So I think there's a lot of... I think Disney would be out of their minds to not do another season of WandaVision. It was so popular. It would clearly be a very different show. And obviously, we'll see where these characters end up after Doctor Strange. But
I think the next season was called Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, well, but I mean, the thing, WandaVision is the thing, so that's what it's called. They'll bring him back one way or another. But if they do another season, I would be very surprised if they're like, yeah, we're going to make all these TV shows that are all one season. That does not.
I actually kind of feel like that might be what's happening. Like,
I mean, that's what they said.
Yeah,
but
the storyline seasons. So that's why I mean, like, look, there might be a WandaVision season 2, but I highly doubt it's going to be called WandaVision. I think there's going to be another Wanda-centric show down the line, but I don't think it's going to be called season 2 of WandaVision.
Yeah, but doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of calling these TV shows then? I mean, I guess they're just miniseries, but like...
Right there, that's you hit it right on the head there. These are miniseries. This is the Marvel way. You just do miniseries.
But do we think? But I mean, maybe WandaVision falls into that, and maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier too. But when we get to She-Hulk or Miss Marvel or Moon Knight,
those are shows that should be continued as shows, and those characters come over to the movie universe.
Right. Yeah, I just think they wanted to be it was half a movie and half a TV show, and they needed to figure out a better way to end it as a fully satisfied story. I just think it would have been, I think you would have bumped up and had a more satisfying ending if half of those characters had sort of just been like not had plots that needed to get resolved. I think that really is the my biggest flaw of the finale, is that easily half the characters don't have a satisfying ending. There was just too much other stuff to do.
Everybody we're introduced to in the beginning of the show, the supporting cast, as you would, the Westview supporting cast, like they're all just kind of there. There's not really anything,
Yeah, not them. I'm not them. I meant yeah,
like Jimmy Woo there's not much that goes on with him. Like
Jimmy Woo and Cat and
I think
Captain
Jimmy Woo is the new Sam Jackson. He's he's the new Nick Fury of the Marvel universe.
Hey, we need to praise something else amongst all the other good words. We've been sailing past one giant thing that needs praise on this show. So if Downey Jr. is the face of the MCU, or was, I'm going to say one of the low-key MVPs is Elizabeth Olsen, because she was great.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Because think about how many roles she had to play. You could say, well, she was Wanda, but think about how many Wandas she had to play. 50s sitcom wife, 70s sitcom wife, different character, sitcom mother, wounded Wanda in the past flashbacks, Scarlet Witch Wanda, kind of the current, quote unquote, current version, the one coming back from the blip going into Sword, the one saying goodbye to Vision. Like, there's a lot of gradation to that performance, and she was absolutely wonderful in this show. Like, Emmy award level wonderful in this show. Say what you want about the narrative choices, the payoffs, the not payoffs, all of that stuff. I don't think anybody could take that away. She is solid gold in this thing. Just great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll wait for Toby to mention his favorite show of all time.
I was queuing it up, man. Really, really, really need to watch Orphan Black.
Really. Or iZombie, very similar style.
Oh no, Veronica Mars, if you're going for ice. That's the original.
But yeah, I if nothing else, this gives me really high hope for the shows coming up. Again, even if they are kind of one-off movie, like, that's fine too. I would hope they would do more full television shows that have ongoing plots. But I just
it's the TV shows. The TV shows really give us like that in-depth look at those characters, right? Like when you're watching, when you're watching Age of Ultron and you're watching Civil War and you're watching all the, everything where Wanda and Vision are interacting, we didn't see their relationship completely come together. We saw bits and pieces of it, but we didn't really have a full picture. I think in this we get a better picture of where that relationship was and how it formed and all that stuff. And so it was nice to have that, right?
Well, especially Wanda, but now the pair, I mean, by far the most have had the most character arc and depth of any of the characters in MCU, just because of the fact that it's a TV show, and you spent more time with those characters now than any other character in the entire MCU, Tony Stark included. He has not had as much screen time as they have, taking all their appearances plus these shows added together. I would not think they've had more. Maybe he's had equivalent, but not.
Well, and you get to the things like in Civil War, we really got that tension and that beautiful tension between Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? Like it was just there, and you sum it up in that scene where they're both lying on the ground after Spider-Man's webbed them up, and it's just the way they those actors and those characters just bounce off of one another with the sarcasm and the quibs and all that stuff. Like it worked really, really well. And them going, well, Steve's gone, but we can have them, fill the shoes, so to speak, of Captain America as a duo. I think it works a lot better. And then, of course, Loki is like all over the map. Like, what the hell's going on with Loki? And then now, hopefully, we'll know what's going on with Loki.
Yeah, well, Loki, I'm really excited for it. They're gonna do. He's a very fun character that can get into lots of shenanigans. So we'll see what happens with Loki.
Hey, the absence of new Marvel content, except for this, it's been refreshing. This has actually made me. I was kind of numb. Not that I dislike them, but there was so much Marvel churning out of the factory that I found it a little numbing. And so this past year, watching this show, here's the best compliment I could pay it besides the lead actress. This has made me go back and rewatch Marvel movies because it's like, wow, I remember what this feels like. I rewatched Winter Soldier, I rewatched Ultron, I rewatched Doctor Strange, and I rewatched the Marvel movie that also ends with the protagonist in an isolated cabin in the woods. Besides this one. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's more of a medical. It's more of a medical shack, but
What?
It's more
Hulk's
of a
not
medical
awful.
shack.
No, Huck's not awful at all. It's perfectly fine.
So
Yeah, he fights an evil version of himself at the end, but
Naturally. You mean like the Ironmonger?
Yeah.
And
Now, so Red Skull is one of.
I don't count him. I don't count. But Red Skull's not a super soldier.
Right, that's what I mean. Red Skull and Captain America are not like an evil version of Captain America.
And
like
Doctor Strange and Dormammu are not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he fought like, if Captain America fought like U.S. Agent or something like that, then
I'm shocked it hasn't happened.
Give it time.
Don't curse it, Brian.
U.S. Agent is dropping like the first 2 episodes of Falcon Winter Soldier. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Nomad shows up at the end.
Isn't U.S. Agent in it? Isn't one of them's in it, right?
U.S. Agent is in the show.
Yeah. In Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact,
Falcap will fight U.S. Agent.
Cool.
But one will have wings, so it's different.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. That's like I remember when the talk of that JLA Avengers miniseries, like the one in the 80s that never happened. I remember being a kid and like all the conversations when that was announced. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait to see Hawkeye versus Green Arrow and Zatanna versus Scarlet Witch and Flash versus Quicksilver. I'm like, those sound like the most boring fights. Like, why would you just pair the exact same? What cross? How about the Atom versus She-Hulk? How about like Wonder Woman and Iron Man? Like, let's mix it up a little. Jesus.
I don't know. I was one of the ones that liked the mirror matches, especially.
Yeah, Toby, I don't dislike them. I just like them. They're so much fresher when it's every once in a while, not every climax of every story.
In Marvel versus DC, they had Gambit fight Nightwing, and I was very much an enjoyment of that.
That's like your dream fight, right?
Like, let me have that original page, even though art was okay. The other favorite page I really wish I could have is what's his face, Gambit and Drifter in jail in that Wildcats X-Men crossover. Oh man, that's a page. I quickly want to add I enjoy when a new medium adds a new dimension to something that already existed for very long, like. The Paul Dini, making, Mr. Freeze, like the whole Nora story, like now that's like so canon, so part of it now that I feel like the whole WandaVision, the whole television motif, her watching the shows to get through like all these dark times, that I feel like that's like going to be a thing now, part of Wanda ongoing forever at this point, thanks to the show. So I kind of like, a new medium taking a knack on a classic character and then having like something that will stick. And I think this whole like her watching movies thing, her watching shows to learn English, to get through grief, will stick for her character.
Well, it's the thing that endured, right? It's the one thing that the whole family did that she still does that endures. Right?
Yeah, that's not my point. My point is, I feel like that will translate into the comics from now on. I think it's something we're going to see again, that the show kind of added to it. Because, like, Nora
also, Toby, the comics could feed this version as her as well, because you still could. The door is wide open for mutants.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I personally think she's a mutant. I mean,
yeah,
that's. I mean, I know Ryan's like, she's not a mutant. The Mind Stone did it, but I personally think she's a mutant. The Mind,
of course,
is accelerated shit.
Of course, they could change it, but my point was they're not going to roll Professor X out at the end of this show, introducing her to.
It's fun to think about, and that's exactly what they did, right?
I mean,
when they had Pietro show up, I mean, like that was just like, dude, that was fun. Come on, I mean, that was fun.
It was.
Like, whatever, like, dude, that's cool. I mean, I thought the way they did it was perfect. I mean,
yeah. I'm not saying it wasn't fun. I'm just saying
it would have been a giant mess if they actually brought in the X-Men. It would have been a giant mess.
Yeah, no, like they can't. They didn't finish the plots they had, let alone whatever that would have caused.
The guy that Agnes was controlling. I mean, she said that. She said,
"What's that?"
In like episode 8 or whatever it was, that Pietro is one of her controls.
Right.
So, and then we're revealed that what it was in the final, in the finale. She
even revealed that she couldn't. The body is buried somewhere else, so she just got someone else to do it. I mean, they explained Pietro completely in my mind. In my mind,
yeah.
Done with it.
What's the argument? I agree.
Powers, I don't really get. I mean, yeah, maybe Agnes just added his powers to that random dude in town, but whatever.
No. What I was saying was they barely could finish the plots they started with if they had to also then throw in the X-Men. Like,
oh yeah, that's not it.
Forget it.
No,
it this would have been 20 more episodes.
No wait, no. But I think all the seeds are there now, right? Agnes is not done. She's going to break out of that thing or that curse, or someone else will release her. But I have a feeling Wanda's going to go back to this town and Agnes is gone, right? So, or something in that, it's like all the doors are open. I think, we're at a good, like, okay, shit happened and it's time for the next chapter in the story. So it's almost like this is chapter 1 and, I'm cool. Like the doors are all open. I want to see more stories. Like Kevin Smith said, Elizabeth was fantastic. But you do need to watch Orphan Black if you were impressed with Elizabeth Olsen's.
I've watched it, Toby. You could keep on Ryan about it.
Oh yeah, it's freaking awesome. No, Elizabeth was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed the show, like from beginning to the end. The only thing I'm with Kevin though. The only thing I didn't like was. I'm really confused why the dude was arrested at the end. I really don't understand that part either.
Like, he shot at kids.
Did he?
Yeah, he shot at the kids.
But like, I don't understand. He went from like an agent that wanted to repower Vision to like 90s villain. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I saw something that storyline just kind of
But even Brock, even setting aside the kid thing, when he's driving away and Darcy crashes into him and says, "Have fun in prison," she wasn't even there for him shooting at the kids.
No, but she was also the one that like looked up everything and found what he was doing behind like.
Yeah, but again, he's running
he's not
covert government agency. She would be the one probably arrested for prowling in his files.
Yeah, like. In his mind, he was doing the right thing. He had a mission of restoring Vision, and he got to it. So I don't understand how that concluded that way. So I mean, sure, I missed the kids thing. I probably did. I mean, or I just don't remember it. But in the end, I mean, he went from like a guy with a mission to a guy in cuffs, and I was like.
But same thing. You also have head of government thing trying to stop. One of the most dangerous mutants, hey, slip of the tongue there. One of the most dangerous beings on Earth doing this thing that has taken over a town, who has created beings of unknown power out of thin air. So shooting the kids is not really a concern, I think, for any sort of
like understanding him. Like he wasn't there for Wanda. He was there to somehow figure out how to restart the Vision. That's why he was tracking the fake Vision, wasn't he?
Right. And it seems like they would want to capture those kids for study, for seeing as they were just spontaneously generated out of thin air. It's all so bizarre. But, and again, the other one that I mentioned earlier, the whole, I've got somebody in the witness protection program in this town. That is such a random thing to drop in and never, ever come back to it. Like, that's the whole reason Jimmy Woo is even there. And then you just literally never mention it again. Once they get into the town and they're introducing all these people and he's in there, there's just no it's just forgotten. It's so strange.
Is Peter the witness protection guy? Because maybe he is not an actor. Maybe they.
You mean Ralph Boner?
Yeah, maybe that's
Ralph Boner. No, I it's like there's a lot of questions that were raised, but I think that they know what they're doing, and they have a vision going forward. So I think we're in good hands. And the thing with the mutants is, yes, they left things there in this show that could lead back to that, right? Like, her changing, her stopping the missile from going off, right? The bomb from going off could have been when her stress levels were high and her mutant ability kicked in. But then she was affected by the which one was it? Which one was the one she was under the influence of? The mind gem, right? Right?
Who, Wanda?
Yeah.
I don't remember who anyone is anymore. I forget what they all do.
Like, yeah, so she's affected by the mind thing, which it just made her powers even more. Because if you look at what happens with Monica Rambeau, they talk about, yes, it's changing you on a genetic level. So they leave it open to having like human beings have genetic, things mutate and become something else. So, they've if they want to do it, they've left breadcrumbs for something like that.
Yeah, of course. And they're always going to. So, all right. I think that's all the WandaVision talk. Kevin, you
I'm fresh. I can do it. Let's hit it. Ryan, do not ask me to rank my MCU movies right now, including WandaVision.
You may have had a nice break from the MCU, but basically you will never have a break again, right?
I know.
That there is now something.
All of us who used to wish to see our favorite heroes on the big screen are like Homer Simpson in the ironic punishment chair with that donut with the donut feeder.
You wear what you wish for.
That's all of us.
Yeah, because you will never go a month without a thing again.
I know. The donut machine was idle for like a year, and all of us were sitting there going, "Oh man, donuts were pretty good," and now it's cranking up again. Get ready.
2020 was the break we didn't realize we needed. Yep. Oh boy. Okay.
Speaking of donuts, Ryan got some donuts today.
I did. Dunkin' finally opened. Good, my Dunkin'. Not quite the same as it used to be, but yeah, still. I'm always a Dunkin' fan. Finally getting them on the West Coast.
You and I were eating Dunkin'. Yeah. Wasn't it every morning before Comic-Con?
Yeah. Well, they had there are select Dunkin' on the West Coast, but more of them have started to open up, and we got one in Sunnyvale, so there's actually one really close to me. So that's great. All right, we're going to talk about Infinite Frontier now. So moving over to comics, this was DC's big special kind of look at what they're doing going forward. In all their titles, we had an interview with Josh Williamson a couple of weeks back where he was talking about, he gave us some kind of hints and teases of what was coming, and we got to read the book. Now, before we get too far in it, I wanna backtrack just a tad. If you remember our wonderful story about Shazadam from a while back, so Infinite Frontier, clearly, we ended up reading the book. So obviously, anyone that has read Infinite Frontier knows how bullshit that story is. But if you do not know the specifics, I did want to clear this up because now that the book's out, we can actually talk about it. There was a rumor going around that DC was changing the name of Black Adam to Shazadam or Shazadam or however Shazadam, I guess is how you would pronounce it. But one of the stories in here, this is the Justice League story by Brian Michael Bendis and David Marquez. I mean, it's very obvious if you actually read the story instead of just post a fake news story about it. Black Adam is sort of posing as a hero to this sort of village, like this group of people, and so that's what they're calling him. There's at no point do they rename him Shazadam forever going forward. They call him Black Adam within the context of the story. So don't listen to bullshit rumor sites when they make crap up like this. Anyway, so I think it's tough. Clearly, you're going to have a lot of people comparing something like Infinite Frontier to Countdown to the Final Crisis or the Rebirth Special, because it's a very similar in tone, very similar in style and kind of what the point of the book is. But overall, I enjoyed it. I do like these kind of looks at the various corners of whatever universe it's dealing with, whether it's some of the Marvel one shots or now these kind of DC specials. And they do a good job. Again, this is gonna be full spoilers, so we're gonna kind of bounce around here. But they give you the hope in Infinite Frontier, but I love how they just immediately end with like the big bad threat. Darkseid being the big threat to the DC universe is not a new concept, but I really liked the idea of this sort of ultimate Darkseid of all the versions of Darkseid are now sort of merged into this one like ultimate Darkseid, the pre-crisis, the post-crisis, the New 52 version, the Rebirth version. He's like this being has stripped me of my power, and my I am now like the raw Darkseid that I always could have been. I just think it's a cool concept. It's again, Darkseid being the big bad is not a new thing, but I like how they approach him in this. Killing Phantom Stranger and the Spectre and Zeus and whoever else dies at the end here. Ganthet and all the Quintessence people. Whatever. They're all like godlike things that can always come back. It's super easy. But it was cool. I like that. It was a cool wrap up.
Except for the art.
Well, you know what? It's far from Romita's worst. I kind of was like hoping we'd get someone else.
But I mean, reading Infinite Frontier, I really enjoyed reading it. Like the art all the way through is just it hits, it pops, it does what it needs to do, and then that last story where it's this rumbling, you're just like, oh, okay,
John Timms did the framing art. And I really wish he would have done those last couple of pages.
Yep.
His art's really good.
Yep.
That's really, really good. I love that Infinite Frontier splash panel with all the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a fun panel. And I really like Wonder Woman's new costume. It's a cool new costume. I want to see where they go with it. It's very kind of like, it's like almost like, I don't know, like Nordic or something. It's not a very Wonder Woman-y looking costume, but it's kind of got some...
she doesn't
like some
show
fur on it.
She doesn't show very much skin in that one.
No, that's fine. But I like the kind of the fur bits on it. It's a cool looking costume.
Fur bits.
So you guys give us an overall, and then maybe we'll do a little kind of pick a part in it we like, and if we got any complaints and anything you liked, anything you didn't like. Kevin, you want to start us off?
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think I was expecting something more like Countdown or Rebirth. Mm-hmm. And this seemed more like Marvel 1000 in that with the Kingdom Come framing device on it, it just seemed more like here's a preview of all the storylines that are going to be happening rather than this is a story on its own. And I think I was expecting a story on its own. So it's like we're checking in with the Teen Titans, checking in with Superman, checking in with Superboy. I don't know. I thought it was okay. I mean, there were some things that were more interesting than others. I'll hold off on that. But the ending was cool. You said pretty much everything about the ending. I love John Timms, so it's nice to see him on a mainstream, big, I should emphasize mainstream book. There wasn't anything in this book that if I wasn't already going to buy that title, there wasn't anything in here that made me go, okay, now I need to get that. So it was kind of just confirmation reinforcement for me. Yeah. But I didn't mind it. I mean, anything I wasn't interested in was over in a page or two. So yeah, it's hard to, I don't really know what to say. The Crime Syndicate book was a lot more fun for me, which I read right after this. That got a much more of a reaction as a fun reading experience. Whereas this, I don't take this that I'm being too harsh, but this almost felt like flipping through like a DC previews catalog with a little bit of story around the edges. So it just wasn't as fun of a reading experience as the Crime Syndicate was.
Yeah, it is basically the first part of. It's like the first chapter of every upcoming story. Rebirth was and that's why I said it's maybe not totally fair to compare it to Rebirth and Countdown because those were
it's more along the lines of
different.
Marvel Now.
Yeah.
Like that, and where Marvel
but
Now was, this is a solicitation, this is a preview, this is a preview, this is a preview. This actually had a theme running through it, and it's like it had things it was connecting it, right? Versus this is this is this.
More so than some of them, yeah. But I do like these sort of dip into every book and every character and see where they're going, because I think there's the point of this book is an average person's going to see Stargirl on the shelf and be like, eh.
Right.
Whether they see Jeff Johns writes it or not is besides the point. But a book like this is like, oh, okay, that was actually kind of a little enjoyable little side story. It's tonally so different from everything else in the book, but that's intentional. So I like these as sort of part preview, part hype for the upcoming thing, then also give you that stinger at the end. That's the big kind of launch.
And I'm not going to mark down ever a work of art because it didn't do what I expected it to do. So my criticism is not that, because all I knew about this was what Josh said. I deliberately avoided spoilers. I thought this was going to be some kind of multiverse story where, like, here's now the revelation of the new multiverse.
It is just not issue 0.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what the Infinite Frontier miniseries is going to be.
Right.
That this is sort of like I
thought this was
also the prelude to that.
I thought before that was announced, I thought this special was the Infinite Frontier miniseries in one giant issue.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, again, except for that art at the end, choice at the end, I think to finish it off, it could have finished a little bit better. But like if you've been reading Future State, right, you kind of go, oh, well, we're getting the early part of the Magistrate days. So they have that thread that's connecting with Batman.
I like that Scarecrow redesign.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how long they stick with it, but it's, eventually you go back to the original, but it's a cool look. I want to see what they're doing with that.
Well, and
that's a real neat page. And Jorge Jimenez, man, that dude's
yeah,
he's doing the art of his career.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then I read Batman 106 afterwards, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is
it's straight
into it. So it was a really, really refreshing thing. To kind of be like, well, Future State, what is this Future State? This Magistrate, because it's not tied in, it's not finished up very well. When you finish reading the Future State books, right? It's kind of still open, which is fine, but now they're kind of going, well, we're going to give you the story before, and then my guess is we're going to get the finale later, or potentially some more Future State books down the road. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it was great to see, the Justice Society come back. It was, really interesting to see their take on Superboy, right? Especially with what happens within Future State Superman House of L. Like where these characters are going to be, what they're going to be doing. Like, it was really well done. It was really well put together. And I think that, again, it's a good book to say, like, well, what should I be checking out now? Well, read this, and then where do you think you're going to gravitate right now in the DC, right? Much like with, kind of that rebirth thing, even though you might not understand it all. And I think this is what DC's always really done. And I remember coming back to DC when I started coming back to the shop, was that no matter what, DC always gave me something else to look for, or something else that I wanted to check out, because something was introduced to me about a character, or I was introduced to a character like, in some way that in a story that I was reading that, was like 52 was just this, well, I'm going to follow Booster Gold and I'm going to follow this character because they're interesting and this is cool. Like, where am I going with this? So, but yeah, I think it's a good starting point.
I have
now.
I have two of the chapters that are my favorites, just for what they represent going forward. But I want to hear Toby's thought, because I almost think one of his may be the same as one of mine. So, Toby, what do you think?
So, to go back in history, when New 52 happened, we didn't have a singular book that kicked it off, did it? Or am I remembering wrong?
We talked about all 52.
52.
Justice League was what launched it, but yeah, we did every fucking first issue.
Yeah, but
holy, can you imagine doing that now? Oh my god,
No,
what the
but
hell?
You were ambitious, Ryan.
no, but
We were babies back then. We were babies.
it was not a singular book that kicked it off, though. It was like they just launched it, right?
Yeah, well, Flashpoint.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was not a one shot that
Yeah, but then we had the Rebirth that was the one shot, right? So let me explain this. Let me frame it this way: when New 52 happened, which was good for Ryan and which was fun for a little bit, ended up not being so much fun for myself and the history version of the DCU, right? And certain things.
Is this your bitterness with the treatment of the Wildstorm characters?
Oh, I got issues with some of it. Oh, dude, you must be happy. They're all coming back.
Let me continue.
You're stepping on his. Yeah.
And then Rebirth happened, which was promised to be like, we're setting things right? It was kind of like certain things were back, but certain things were not. It was kind of wink, wink. Now you're supposed to like us again because we did what you asked for, right? And then still, it was kind of like, I think you're trying to, you tried to bamboozle me, and I'm still not really, really into it. Sure, there's great stories and there's certain things I really like some of the Tomasi stuff I really liked, and some of the Batman stuff was really cool. But overall. I think it's more than 2 decades, but let's just say 2 versions of the DC universe away from what I really, really liked to begin with, which was like, the 90s stuff. Then I read this, and the entire time I'm just thinking, fuck me, I might be buying floppies again. Because there's so much in here that I'm like so excited about seeing where it's going to go. And I think that the cock tease was done just right. It tickled all the right tickles, and I'm like, shit. Like,
that's a hashtag right there.
Yeah. So I'm very, very excited to see the Teen Titans Academy stuff. I'm really excited. Look, I was partially confused because I'm guessing this is all coming out of death metal or the Scott stuff, right? So I don't know what happened to Wonder Woman. I just kind of guess she gave herself up, and now she's getting opposition to be one of the DC's versions of the Watchers. Is kind of how I understand it, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then they do a little bit of a Christmas Carol thing through the DC universe, and then in the end they all get fucked in the arse. So,
because Darkseid is.
Yeah, I really like the whole dipping and previewing into all the worlds that are open, and I maybe my conclusion in all of this is Barbara back behind a computer might just be what sets the DC world right for me again.
Oh, I'm just going to sign you up for Batgirls when it comes out, because that's going to be your book.
I feel like things are right. And maybe it is literally just Barbara, and I don't know why that is, but maybe setting her back into that Oracle role, and even though she says she'll still suit up on all of that, but I feel like things are right in the DC universe again for me. So I'm like, yeah, I tell you right now, I want to see what's going on with Wonder Woman. I thought that was a nice take. I really want to see what's going on there. I'm all in on Yara Floor. I'm all in there. I want to see Teen Titans Tower. I feel like that's the best new take in a long time, which is not a really new take, but I feel like that's probably the take I will enjoy the most is the Jeff Johns run. Yeah, and the Batgirls book, which is the new Birds of Prey book. Oh man, all in. Black Adam. That's an interesting thing because I don't think that's Black Adam. Is it? Is it actually him?
Yeah.
This is not Shazam in a Black Adam costume.
Well, we don't know the whole story, but it's supposed to be Black Adam.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
That's cool because he's going to be the Rock, or the Rock is going to be him. So slightly curious there. And then of course the whole Bat family stuff. I mean, yeah. Green Lantern and Black Canary back together. Being the more classic way. I don't know. I'm just like excited for DC. Much more than I have had in a long time. Like after New 52, which was all right and did well for you, and there was some fun stuff in there. And the fucking grifter scene, man! Holy shit! Like him just popping up like that. Fuck yes! Like
yeah, Grifter's been he's in the Batman Urban Legends book that came out today. So it's like Batman, Red Hood, Grifter. It's like an anthology, and I think someone.
Well, he had that magistrate story that was going on in the next Batman.
You got Red Hood and Grifter together.
I don't think their stories are together. It's like an anthology.
Okay, shit, man. I was just about to jump up.
but
I mean, you're not excited for Nightwing by Tom Taylor?
Yeah, but this is like just feels new. Like this I'm hoping like the Nightwing is going to be great, but this feels I don't know fresh. So I'm in, like on like a whole bunch of books. So I'm in trouble because I was trying to. I mean, I've been buying a whole bunch of floppies this year because of the Future State I actually really enjoyed. Bought all of those from Ryan, and I kept telling him like, look, after this it's certain covers only, and then Joshua Williamson has to go write this really cool and I'm like, God damn it, I'm thinking back on a bunch of like floppies that I am really really excited to read, so I might be reading comics again. So thanks, Josh.
Well, for me, I mean, the one of the big parts is Flash. I love Wally and Barry. Wally's maybe a little bit more my Flash because he was the guy that was the Flash when I started reading comics.
Yeah.
But I've obviously loved Barry a ton. And I
love that scene and the fucking Roy Harper scene. Like
right. Well, so those were my two that I was like, oh yes, dude. Alex Maleev doing a Black Canary Green Arrow comic would be the greatest thing ever. Those couple pages were so good, and he's such a good fit for that. I really hope they get him to do a Green Arrow Black Canary title. His art fits that, just that dirty, it'd be like, obviously the art he did in Alias and other titles. His art style fits those characters so well. And yeah, again, you have these characters, just use them. So you have Barry running around with the Infinite Frontier book. That's where he's going to go off to. And Wally's stays on Earth, and it's the Flash of Earth. That's great. I love that. There's no reason to kill all these characters or get rid of all these characters. There was some funny people theorizing when Spectre and Wonder Woman are talking. There's this whole line like, for years our lives were infected with despair, and omnipotent force was from another world and manipulated us as part of some grand experiment. It stole away so much, our sense of legacy, our connection and faith in ourselves.
Oh, yes.
We believed this lies for too long. It let the worst aspect of the multiverse hurt us. A couple of people were like, "I'm talking about Dan Didio there. Like, is that what they're talking about?"
I thought that was just
which it was a funny. There's a lot that Dan did that I really liked with DC. I'm never going to give the guy shit. There's clearly stuff I didn't care for, but it's tough because you got to find that balance between new and exciting and classic and appeasing fans, and it's a very delicate balance. I thought everything we got the good stuff for the most part in New 52 and Rebirth and prior outweighed the bad. Killing characters or sidelining some characters is okay because we got Demonites and Justice League Dark and Swamp Thing and Animal Man.
Yeah,
and we got Jeff Johns on a big green on a big Jeff Johns
Justice League
and Jim Lee on Justice League
and Hawk and Dove.
and Rebirth and the Flashpoint special, and the Rebirth special, and a lot of those Rebirth books, and whether some of that was fighting against Dan or not, I don't know. I still love Identity Crisis. A lot of there was an excitement in those early years. So I never want these people. I never want people to feel like, oh, we just have just sort of like the WandaVision conversation. Like, you can't just appease loud fans. Like, let the creators create and do what you want to do.
Well,
but
so, like, I know the Infinite Frontier was 2 weeks ago now, right?
Yeah, it was last week. Yeah,
it was last week. Okay.
Last week, yeah.
But at the same time that Infinite Frontier came out, we got the Batman 106. Mm-hmm. We got Suicide Squad.
Yep.
We got Swamp Thing.
Yep. Which, so Batman 106 is continuing what they've been doing.
Yep.
Swamp Thing is similar in tone, but very different similar maybe in style and tone, but very different in plot.
But it's really good.
Yeah, Suicide Squad is different in characters, but a more back to basics approach. Yeah. Wonder Woman is going to be very different, but high quality. All these books, it's not like, oh, we're going back to the Silver Age, guys. Like, getting your colorful outfits and let's go punch a bank robber. Like, that's not what they're doing. They're still moving these characters forward, but with the ability. And this is kind of Toby for what you're. I know you've heard parts of this. I don't know if you finished Metal, but basically they opened it up so every story is now in continuity. Everything happened. The characters are aware that they've been fucked with over and over again.
So Wildcats happened.
Yeah, everything happened. Yes. So all the worlds got merged. Now they're not gonna. I've said this before. Batman's not going to just be like, in his regular Batman book, acknowledging shit from the 1930s just randomly. But if they want to do a story where they bring up something from the past, they can. So it's not walled off. Like
I know, Ryan, you disagree with me on this, but this book did remind me of, I really, really wish they would put the JSA in World War II on Earth 2.
Yeah.
Because in that situation, the JSA is the team. On Earth 1 or Earth 0 or whatever it's called now, they're just another team. And I just think they deserve a more special place. And I think you accomplish that giving them kind of their own world.
Yeah. Well, you have the Infinity Inc. kind of makes that all a little bit weird because they have them in here, right?
Yeah.
Jade and Obsidian in here.
Yeah.
The continuity of that, I gotta kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit because I'm not sure how that really works.
The whole dad thing?
Well, no.
The JS
because
timeline?
Bringing in the those characters post-crisis got fucked pretty royally because suddenly nothing they did could have happened because the JSA all existed on the world. So the way they post-crisis, they kind of wrote Infinity Inc. off as not really ever having been a thing, right?
No, because they had Obsidian and Jade in the Robinson stuff.
Oh, sure, but the whole point of Infinity Inc. is that it's a follow up to like JSA with their kids and stuff like that, and that would put Obsidian and Jade as way older than Batman and Superman in current continuity. So it just kind of doesn't work quite as well. So trust me, I would love for them. Give me those young all-stars, baby. Give me Infinity Inc. Give me all those characters. Power Girl back.
You can still get
Hunter's
it.
Back.
The scene with them, with him coming out to them, it's on Earth too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know.
That was one of the better things from the New 52 was that Earth 2 book.
Earth 2 was really good.
2 book was amazing. Mm-hmm. Like the second one afterwards was not so great.
When they go to the actual other Earth.
Yeah, what is it? Earth 2 Society?
Yeah.
Like that book it fell off. But that first Earth 2 was written so well, and it just like it was, you knew you were on a different Earth. It was focused around, yes, it was Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but they weren't there. You were mainly following, like Alan Scott and, a kind of younger Jay Garrick, right? And so it felt like natural. So if they do this book in Earth 2, I think it works perfectly. But like Kevin said, if they add it to whatever's going on now, it's just another team. And I think that's where the Justice Society and Justice League differ, is they need to be in different universes.
Well, so I don't remember how much Infinity Inc. was acknowledged post-Crisis, but I mean, I know a lot of those characters were still around, but I'm kind of looking back at the scene here. Obsidian says, I grew up reading about their stories in the history books after the U.S. forced the team, talking about the JSA, to unmask or retire. So I'm going to guess they're going with the story of the JSA all have that that's, what are they, like slow age? I can't remember what we were talking about this.
There was the story where they're trapped with battling that fire demon.
Yeah,
and the limbo, and they don't age. It's like frozen in time.
Right. And so they don't age, and they come
So it's
out.
like Captain America. So when they come out of that, they are the age they were.
Right.
But I don't know how you don't explain them. This lost me long ago.
Yeah. So Obsidian and Jade, I mean, they're part of Infinity Inc. And they with Air Dude and what the hell's his name? Airwave and Airwave and all those other guys.
Air Dude.
But they said, our Green Lantern, it was our long lost father, so they were adults. So I'm gonna guess that he popped out for a few minutes fighting the fire demon guy, had some kids, popped back in. Maybe that works.
Well,
sure.
We'll
go with that.
But if everything happened, there was a Justice Society fighting in World War II on Earth 2 with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And then, but I'm gonna have to look this up. I don't remember how they explained Infinity Inc. post-Crisis. I do not remember. It's all part of that book. Because that book got so basically thrown out as like non-continuity post-Crisis because it just couldn't have happened. So yeah, I'm gonna look this up for later. In post-Crisis, Infinity Inc. post-Crisis. There we go. Ooh, the Justice Society chronology, Part 7, Infinity Inc. There we go. Yeah, this would be good. Old school website. Yeah, I love the old school.
Does it have
some GeoCities?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got .html and the name of this big wall of text explaining the chronological order of all the Infinity Inc. books.
Scroll down to the bottom. Does it have a visitor page count box?
No visitor page count. So, yeah. Well, yeah. So overall, fun look. A couple of these books I really want to see where they go. I don't think we'll go straight into Dark Side. I don't know if that's going to be in a book or a big event or something like that. But we'll get to them.
Well, I think what's great is, and this is bleeding over into the movies, is that everyone wants to know where the veggie tray is when it comes to Dark Side. So it's like I'm all right. That works for me.
There you go. All right. That is it. Thank you all very much. Hope you guys enjoyed WandaVision and Infinite Frontier. We'll be back next week for some news, stories, and other crap to talk about.
While we wait for Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League and Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So Falcon Winter Soldier is next. Are they?
No.
Justice
no,
League
Justice
is
League is
the
next
18th?
week, is the 18th, and then Falcon Winter Soldier is the 26th.
Oh, so
So it's the next Friday.
it's the week after.
It's the week
okay,
after,
so
yeah.
2.5 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. They knew to stay away from the Snyder Cut.
Or the Snyder Cut knew to stay away from them.
To stay away from. Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about the Snyder Cut leaking for like an hour.
The Tom and Jerry Snyder Cut?
Yeah. Did you see this, Kevin?
Yes. Were you
very funny?
Were you trapped at the store?
What's that?
Were you trapped at the store when this happened? Were you on red alert?
No, I didn't see it till it was already pulled. So yeah, the Snyder Cut got put up.
There's all these trollers on these collector sites about the Alpha Omnibus, and I hate them all because I'm one of the very few people that actually want that.
The Alpha Omnibus?
Yeah.
There was enough material to make an Alpha Omnibus?
Yeah.
No, that's the whole thing.
Oh, there is.
Well, sure, but there isn't.
There is. Anyways, that's not my point. My point is, I'm also a very big Tom and Jerry fan. And I was actually trying to watch Tom and Jerry because I was genuinely excited to see this movie. So it would have been, I just never got around to it, but it would have been freaking sweet to have turned on Tom and Jerry and then be like, wait a minute, watching the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, Toby, you could have finally paid back all those times Ryan spoiled you on things.
Oh, you know what I would have done? I would have watched the whole thing and then called Ryan. I would have not done the proper friendly thing to call Ryan away, go, hey, put this on right now. I would have just watched the whole thing going, hey, how's it going, buddy?
Ryan, you must have shit your pants when Sandman came out in the last scene of the Snyder Cut. You did watch it, right?
Did you watch the third post-credit scene?
Well, so nobody saw the whole thing. They saw like an hour of it, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
I believe they saw an hour of it, yeah.
Is what people saw.
What's that?
So the people saw the opening act.
Yeah.
So Lois got out of bed.
Yeah. The heck?
Yeah, well, opening act. Something happened. Lex Luthor did something. Bad joke. Move on.
Okay, I don't understand.
Bad joke.
So, yeah, we have still a week before the Snyder Cut episode, so we're gonna.
We have one normal episode, and then we have a Snyder Cut episode.
So it's like half an hour.
Well, I'll have 2 weeks of news to talk about. I'm sure we'll have something.
Okay.
Sure, something happened.
Okay.
No, the Snyder Cut's going to be 5 hours long. We're recording Sunday, right?
Might have to. All right. Thank you all for listening. Thanks to our top tier Patreon backers, Joe Duff, Jesse Peterson at the Comic Book Matters podcast. Would you hear me talking about my Secret Origin and the New Warriors on the previous episode? Go listen to the Comic Book Matters podcast. Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast. Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast. And Craig Anderson at clearpathcoaches.com. Please go to geekbox.net where you can hear our previous episodes of the Geekbox podcast, comicspiracypodcast.com, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for all our episodes. Listen to patreon.com. Visit patreon.com/comicconspiracy where you can kick us a couple bucks, get some promotion on here if you're a high tier backer. Head over to comicsconspiracy.biz. You can buy some physical comic books from us. We have all sorts of cool books on there right now for you to buy. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog. Video pull list and unboxing videos. You can check out his stuff there. Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. You can check out Between the Panels over at fanbasepress.com. That is Kevin's weekly interview series. And LeanneHill.com. That is my wife Leanne's website. You can see her art on there as well as at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. If you're on Twitter, you can follow all of us. Ryan Higgins Ryan. Toby XI is Toby. That Kevin Sharp is Kevin. Comics Con Store is the comic store.
Insanity and Chaos.
Insanity and Chaos is Charlie. He's not here today.
Yeah.
Brock.
Yeah, I made a new one.
Brock's got.
It hasn't
Brock
been.
broke down.
I heard you got help.
I did
Broke
get help.
down.
I got help.
Damn the man.
Yep.
forget the rules. He's going hardcore. He's gonna get his own secondary Twitter account going. And would you like people to follow you there briefly until your main account comes back?
Yeah, because once everybody starts following me there, the other one's going to be unblocked, right? Because that's how it has to work.
That's how it works.
Yeah, it's BES Basement. So
there you go.
BES Basement.
There you go.
Did you just say Mom's Basement? What was it?
BES Basement.
Oh, okay. All right, just checking.
It's technically my initials, but I also didn't want to put BS Basement, right?
Well, okay, sure. Yeah.
And if you put BES, it's like B's Basement, so it's like, Brock's Basement, so it's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
If you like Brock's Basement, you can go follow him on Twitter.
I didn't want to actually put Brock down because I didn't want them to go, oh, Brock, Sager, Brock, make an association or something.
New YouTube show. Brock.
Maybe.
I think we started something right. I'm sorry.
And make sure you check out geekbox.net. Sorry, Geekbox Podcast, which I'm on. We talked about WandaVision, another crap. And our good friends over at Manga Machinations. Please go follow all of them. Thank you very much. We will be back next week.